Hey there, welcome to Procon Gray. This is a quick follow-up to my last video. For those of you who didn't see it, my last video was on this interesting collaboration between Omega and Swatch for a series of, I think, 11 watches they're calling the MoonSwatch. This is a series of watches that pays homage to the extremely popular Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch. And I had some thoughts about it when that news first broke, and most of it good, some of it not so good. So that video was more about my initial reactions to it. So spoiler alert on that video, but I ended it by saying that I most likely will actually buy a MoonSwatch. Now, there's no availability anywhere, and it's been a mad craze to get these watches. So while Swatch figures out production and we get availability, I'm going to use that time to try and figure out which of those 11 watches do I want to get. So I set up a very simple tier list, and let me jump to that now. What we have here is a simple tier list where I've arranged all the 11 watches in a sequence. Now, I'm going to rank them based on the different tier, S tier obviously being the best, then A, B, C, and D. And, pretty straightforward. Now, this is interesting because what I thought would be number one didn't turn out to be number one when I actually eventually started this. So let's go. So let's start with the sun. So the sun it's interesting, but I'm not a fan of the yellow / gold / sunburst style. I know some people are, but I'm not. So I'm going to put that into C tier. The next is Mercury. Now, Mercury is actually one of my favorites. It looks a lot like the original Speedmaster Moonwatch. And I like that contrasting subdial. It's got a slight mix of matte black and gloss black. I also do like the strap, that it's seems like a little bit metallic. So for me, that's the mission to Mercury is definitely S tier. Next is Venus. Now, this is a watch that clearly aimed more at women. Not my particular favorite, but I see this being fairly popular. I would still put this in C tier, but probably ahead of the sun. Next is Earth. Now, Earth is originally one of my favorites, and I think that was initially my top favorite. Now, things I like about the Earth, right? So I like the contrasting reverse banda of the subdial and the main dial. I like that mint green case, and looks like a very retro watch. But seeing some videos of it, it didn't jump out at me as much. So I'll put that in A tier. Again, I've not seen any of these watches in person. This is just reacting from images I've seen online and maybe a couple of videos from those lucky few that actually have the watch. So Earth goes in A tier. Moon. Now, Moon is arguably the most closest to the Omega Speedmaster original. But I don't like the case. So the case comes off a little grey, a little plasticky. So for me, I'll keep that in A tier. Had that case been more convincingly, had the case looked more convincingly metallic, it would have gone with S tier and it'll be just neck and neck with Mercury. But since it looks a little bit like I don't want to say this, but a cheap knockoff, I'm going to put that in A tier because it's still a very, very handsome watch. Now, Mars. Now, this was very divisive for me because initially I saw it looked like a kid's watch to me. The entire white and red look, it looked like a cheap kid's watch. But then looking at it a little further, and I like the detail. I like the detail of the red second hand. I like the rocket ship arrow hands for the two subdials. So honestly, I'm torn with this one. You know what? I'm going to put it in B tier because I like it, but I also don't. It's hard to describe. Okay, B tier. Let's keep it there for now. Jupiter is a really nice looking watch as well. It's very subtle. It's very grown up. So I'll put that in B tier, but above Mars. Yeah, I think I'll stick that. I don't like Saturn. So Saturn to me looks like a sad clown staring back at me. But I'm going to put that in C tier. I don't think it deserves to be in D tier because it's still an unusual watch. C tier, but lowest in the C tier. Uranus. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorites. I like teal. Don't know why, but I like teal. I'm going to put this right on top in S tier, right behind Mercury. I don't know. Oh gosh, I can't decide between which of these two, but definitely this is right up there in S tier. Neptune is also a very striking watch. It's got a nice blue. You know, I'm going to put an A tier, and A tier probably between Earth and Moon, because it's, to me, it's slightly better than the Moon, but doesn't have as much character and presence as Earth does. So Neptune will be A tier, but in the middle of that. And last is Pluto. Pluto, no, it's definitely interesting watch. I'm not a fan of the color scheme, but it's definitely interesting. I'll keep it in low B tier. Yeah. So to sum up, my two favorite watches in the group of 11 is Mercury and Uranus. Either one, honestly, if I get either one, I'll be thrilled. I don't know, I'm going to make that decision eventually, but maybe once I actually get a hold of these watches and get to play with them, I'll know better. Earth, Neptune, and Moon are in A tier. Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto in B tier. And in C tier, Venus, Sun, and Saturn. Interestingly, none of these watches are in D tier because they're all excellent looking watches. They're all fun, interesting, and I think fairly well priced watches. So, yeah, this is my list. But you know, having said that, that's my list. But I was talking to my girlfriend about what watches she liked, and she had a very different set of watches, a different set of sequence of watches that she liked. So maybe let's hear from her and see what she has to think and how she would arrange the watches based on her preferences.
So I think I'm confused between Uranus and Venus.
Nothing confusing there. Okay.
All right, but I don't know. I think I would go for Venus. At the expense of sounding like a stereotype, but it has a dash of pink and it's white and it's feminine. So the first vote goes to that.
Cool.
And the steel is a very close second because of the freshness that it brings in its entire look. Next, I will go for Earth, actually, because I like this mint green, this thing happening here.
Yeah.
It's a fresh look, I feel. And these three specifically look the most, I want to say gender neutral, but inclined towards, I think, female watches, because either sex can carry it or pull it off, I feel.
Sure. Okay.
Moving on, I think my next pick would be Neptune. All right, because I like blue, and it's blue. Plus,
yeah, just a quick thing. If everything, you can put them in different tiers, ideally based on like the top list. Versus...
for 1, 2, 3, 4.
No. You can have a bunch of them wherever, but I'm just saying that.
Priority, right? How close they are together, basically. Yes.
We really should have discussed this before starting this, but anyway.
Alright. So I think then in that case, I'll put them down because they're not in my first pick. Then I like this. Pluto, yeah, because it has a nice combination. I like this drama of maroon in this case. Next, I would go for Mars के बाद क्या आता है?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. So Jupiter, the only it's very neutral, you know?
Yeah, it's a little subtle, more subtle.
So it's
than
subtle.
others, yeah.
So I like it. Next tier would be. So to me it looks like a face which is giving you a. And it's cute. So I would rate it next.
Okay.
Actually, it's kind of fun. So you can it's like a fun addition to the entire look. When you want to be cute.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be Then I know that I don't like this. It looks like a kid's watch, and so does Sun. So Sun and Mars are my least favorite. I think these are very boring for me. It's like there's nothing fun about this. It's just normal blacks and grays, which you see in every watch that you wear. So that is my pick.
Interesting. It's quite a bit different from mine, though, but that's the whole point. I mean, what's interesting about this series of watches is that it's 11 watches, but what's popular for some is not going to be popular for others, and that's why you're going to have a lot of interesting choices to make. I think a lot of interesting conversations are going to happen based on this sequence of watches, so I'm keen to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining us, and this is Procon Gray signing out. See you.
Do like and subscribe, okay?